Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. In this video we will study the various types of paper chromatography. Paper chromatography is divided into 5 main types. The classification is based on how solvent moves on the paper. The first type is ascending paper chromatography. In this, the solvent moves upward due to capillary action. The second type is descending paper chromatography. Here the solvent moves downward with the help of gravity. The third type is two-dimensional or 2D chromatography. The fourth is circular chromatography, and the fifth and the last one is ring oven chromatography. Now we will discuss each type in detail one by one. Now let's talk about ascending chromatography. In this method, the solvent moves upward on the paper strip. So it actually works against the force of gravity. The solvent rises due to capillary action in the paper because it goes against gravity. It is slower compared to others. That is why it is not as efficient as descending paper chromatography, but the basic mechanism is same as normal paper chromatography. Hence the separation happens because different substances moves at different speed with the solvent. Now we will understand the principle behind paper chromatography. It works on the principle called partition chromatography. This means the separation is based on how components divide between two phases. One phase is stationary phase, which is water trapped inside the paper. The other phase is the mobile phase, which is the solvent that moves. So different components in the mixture dissolves in the solvent differently. Some components like the paper more, so they move slowly. Others like the solvent more, so they move faster. Because of this difference, the components get separated from each other. This is how partition chromatography helps us separate a mixture. Okay, so this diagram shows how ascending chromatography works step by step. On the left side, we have the setup before running. We have a glass chamber with a lid on the top. The chamber is closed so the solvent doesn't evaporate. At the bottom of the chamber, there is a solvent trough. This solvent is the mobile phase. A strip of filter paper is hung inside the chamber. This filter paper is the stationary phase because water molecules are trapped in it. Near the bottom of the paper, we put a sample spot. This is the mixture we want to separate. The bottom edge of the paper is dipped into the solvent, but the sample spot must stay above the solvent level. Now coming towards the principle, the solvent moves upward through the paper by a capillary action. As it moves up, it carries the sample with it. Different components in the sample have different attraction to the paper and the different solubility in the solvent. So they travel at different speeds and get separated. So what happens after the spot development? After some time, we take the paper out and let it dry. You can see the origin where the sample spot was. Above it, we get different colored bands. For example, yellow, blue, green, pink, depends on the material. Each band is a separated component of the original mixture. Components that move more with the solvent go higher, and components that stick to paper more stay lower. Now let's look at descending chromatography. In this method, the solvent moves downward on the paper strip. So it works in the same direction as gravity. Here, both the gravity and capillary action helps the solvent to move. Because gravity is also helping, the solvent moves faster. This is why descending chromatography is more efficient than ascending. The separation of components still happens by the same principle of partition, but due to the downward flow, we get better and quicker separation. Now we will understand the principle of descending chromatography, which is a type of partition chromatography. In this method, the paper strip is hung from the top of a closed glass chamber. A solvent trough is placed at the top of the chamber and the top end of the paper is dipped into this solvent. First, the solvent moves upward a little due to capillary action. After that, it starts moving downward because of gravity. So, the direction of mobile phase is first upward and then downward. As the solvent moves down, it carries the sample components with it. Different components move at different speeds because of their different attraction to the paper and the solvent. So because of this, separation takes place and we get different bands on the paper. Overall, the separation in descending chromatography is achieved due to both capillary action and the pull of gravity. In this slide, you can see the diagram of descending chromatography. As I already mentioned, in this method, the solvent first moves up and then moves down. So you can see in the diagram. Also, the paper is hung from the top and the solvent is placed in the trough above. So you can see the solvent trough above. Separation happens as the solvent carries the components downward. It is more efficient because both capillary and gravity are involved. Now let's talk about 2D chromatography, which is used for more complex mixtures. This method is especially helpful when a mixture has 5 to 6 components that are hard to separate in one direction. In 2D chromatography, we use 2 different mobile phases or 2 different solvents. Both have difference in polarity. The paper used here is usually smaller with a length of about 10 to 15 centimeter and a width of 4 to 5 centimeter. First, we spot the sample at one corner of the paper. Then the paper is placed in the first solvent. This causes separation of components in one direction. After that, the paper is taken out, dried, and then rotated at 90 degrees and again dipped in the second solvent, which is different from the first one. This causes separation of the components in the second direction, perpendicular to the first. Because of this two-step process, even complex mixtures can be separated clearly into different spots. This slide explains the principle of 2D chromatography. It separates components based on their different affinities for two solvent systems. First, the sample is run in one direction with the first solvent. Then the paper is rotated 90 degrees and run again with the second solvent. This gives better separation and helps resolve closely related compounds in the mixture. Now here is the diagram of 2D chromatography. On the left, we have the first run. The sample mixture is spotted on the first start line. The paper is placed in solvent A. The solvent moves up to the first solvent front and separates the components into different spots in a vertical line. After drying, the paper is rotated 90 degrees. On the right, the paper is now placed in solvent B. The second start line becomes the new bottom. The solvent moves again, this time in a horizontal direction, up to the second solvent front. Because of the second solvent, the spots that were in one line now spreads out into different positions. The dot marked original position of X shows where the sample started. So finally, we get a 2D separation with spots spread across the paper instead of in one line. This gives much better resolution for complex mixtures where components overlap in one dimension. This slide is about circular chromatography. In this method, the sample is spotted in the center of a circular filter paper. When the solvent is added, it spreads outward from the center due to capillary action. As the solvent moves, the components of the mixture also moves with it in all directions. Because of their different affinities, the components separate and form separate concentric rings. So in circular chromatography, separation is seen as rings instead of spots or bands. The principle of circular chromatography is simple. The sample is placed at the center of a circular paper, already discussed. When solvent is added, it moves radially outward from the center. Different components in the mixture have different affinities for the paper and the solvent, so they travel at different speeds and separate from each other. Each ring you see on the paper represents one component of the mixture. In short, center is the spot, solvent moves outward, and each ring represents one separate component. Here you can see the diagrammatical representation of circular chromatography. We use a glass chamber with a lid. Inside, a circular filter paper is placed on a support. The solvent is kept at the bottom and the sample is spotted in the center of the paper. After the process, instead of spots or bands, we get concentric circles or rings. The components move outward from the center with the solvent due to capillary action. Because each component has different affinity for the paper and different solubility in the solvent, they travel at different rates. This forms separate circular rings. Next type is the ring oven chromatography. This slide is all about the ring oven. A ring oven is basically circular chromatography with a heating system added. A heating element is attached at the end or edge of the paper. The heat helps to concentrate the components into sharp, clear rings. Because of this, ring ovens are mainly used for quantitative analysis of the trace metals. So let's discuss the principle in more detail. The main idea of ring oven is to concentrate the separated components into distinct, sharp rings on a filter paper. First, a small amount of sample solution is placed at the center of circular filter paper. Then, a solvent is allowed to move outward from the center through capillary action. As the solvent moves, it carries the different components of the mixture with it. The components get separated based on two things: their different migration rates and their different affinities for the stationary phase, which is the filter paper, and the mobile phase, which is the solvent. Because of this separation, the components do not spread out. Instead, they get concentrated into clear, visible rings. Each ring represents one component from the original mixture. Finally, these concentrated rings can be easily identified, or they can be further analyzed, especially for detecting trace amounts of substances like metals. This diagram shows the setup and working of a ring oven. The basic setup is the same as circular chromatography, that is, a glass chamber with a lid, circular filter paper, sample spotted at the center, and solvent at the bottom. So what makes it a ring oven? The key difference is the heating system involved. In a ring oven, a heating element or ring heater is attached around the edge of the filter paper. So how does the heating help? As the solvent moves outward by capillary action and separates the components into rings, the heating element provides gentle heat. This heat does two main things. Number one, it concentrates the components. It evaporates the solvent quickly so the separated components don't diffuse. They get squeezed into sharp, narrow rings. Secondly, it dries the paper. That is, the heating makes faster and gives clearer rings. So instead of broad, faint bands, we get distinct concentric rings. So that's all about the types of paper chromatography. I will also add a link in the description for a detailed video of paper chromatography if you want. In the next video, we will study thin layer chromatography or TLC and how it's different from paper chromatography. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next video.